Bioinformatics.
Hi, so I just wanted to make a quick little recording just to kind of convey a little info on what the first practical will be. Now, when people hear practical, they tend to think kind of like the equivalent of a midterm or an exam. Believe me when I say that this is really just meant to kind of, one, help motivate you to try and pull the pieces together and try to use pieces from different labs rather than thinking about them all as individual standalone things, but also to help me kind of gauge where you're at and for you to gauge where you're at. You'll probably do things in the practical that you weren't able to do when you started this class, and maybe that will help you recognize that. And maybe you won't, but I always give you guys the opportunity to go back in the practical as kind of a secondary assignment to go and really think about where you went wrong and try to find ways to correct it. So this is not a way for me to try to get you. This is a way for me to help you grow as far as doing bioinformatics are. And to kind of show you, here's an example from one of my practicals. This is, again, practical one. You can expect something extremely similar. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, obviously, but I'm going to give you, a little bit of background. I'm going to give you some kind of SRA, a session number, or something along those lines, and say, here's, a piece of data that I want you to do something with. And I'll give you some information. Okay, these are single end, not paired end. And what I want you to do is answer a couple questions. How many reads were in the raw file? So to get there, what do you need to do? Well, first you got to download them. How do you download them? Well, if I gave you the link and told you that it's an SRA, a session number from the short read archive, well, you should eventually either know off the top of your head, or even if you just went back to some of your labs and thought, how did I use SRA session numbers before? Oh, it was FASTQ dump. Do I need to split the files? No, because it's single end. So it's really just understanding and repurposing what we've done before. I've asked you and showed you how to see how many reads there are in a file before. Lots of different ways to do it. You could, cat it and pipe it over to WC-L to see how many lines there are. But then that would require you to remember how many lines there are per read in a FASTQ file, for example. So I'm not asking you to do anything novel. I'm just asking you to do the same things you've done before with the code that you've used before, with some slightly different data sets. And knowing which code is appropriate to use is really kind of the goal of the practical. And so this is just basically a whole lab period of kind of going through this and doing these things. And I have never, in the history of teaching this class, had either of the practicals be the difference between someone getting an A or not. So don't let it stress you out. Let it motivate you and think of it as just an opportunity to kind of really put your skills to the test in a more free-form environment.